Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of those who are walking in. We'll just wait for everyone to come in and give people a few minutes. Nice to see that count going steadily up. We'll start in a minute or so. I think we're still expecting a few more people to join. I see already a question in the Q&A. Carol, yes, we will be recording and we will be sharing that recording. I think let's give it another minute and we can get started. You're welcome, Prasoon. Good to see some of our own folks joining as well. Good evening. All right, I think let's get started. Welcome everyone to our webinar on AI and engagement for a multi-generational workforce. In today's session, we'll delve into how technology and AI and all of that bleeding edge tech that's out there can be leveraged to become a powerful learning tool and to create powerful learning solutions for a multi-generational workforce. They can help us solve problems like personalizing solutions, addressing skill gaps, fostering collaboration across diverse learners and age groups. And that's what we're looking forward to speaking with our lovely panelists today. But let's get started with just running through the webinar agenda real quick. We'll, of course, begin with panelist introductions. We'll talk about engagement challenges in a multi-generational workforce. We'll talk about the role of technology and AI and how it can be leveraged to address said challenges. We'll also discuss a few use cases which we think are relevant to everyone across learners. And we'll, of course, be having the Q&A as well. So that's our agenda for today. Before we get started, just a little bit of important information. We want this to be a wonderfully interactive session. So please open the question panel to submit your questions to our panelists. We'll talk about them in the Q&A section. We'll also be sharing the link, like I just said a little while ago, to the recording and a few other resources once the discussion is concluded today. And of course, chat is enabled throughout. So please feel free to join in the conversation and discuss and share your insights with all of those who are attending the session. So once again, thank you all for joining. For those of you attending for the first time, this is an EI Expert Series webinar. Who's EI? Well, we're experts in crafting emotionally intelligent learning experiences and supporting customers throughout their digital transformation journey. We have about 3 decades of expertise, and we specialize in designing learning and performance support solutions that boost performance and maximize training ROI and ROE. We will be talking about that a little bit today. And of course, our high impact and award-winning learning solutions are designed specifically to drive deeper, more meaningful engagement with learners across the workforce, to enable effective upskilling and enhance employee performance, and of course, turn training into a strategic advantage for your organization, right? In the L&D industry, AI is acknowledged as a global force with a reach extending over 25 locations worldwide and an expertise spanning over 26 distinct industry verticals. We have a dedicated global team of about 2,700 plus professionals who have delivered more than 2,000 hours of advisory and consulting services and over 1 million hours of transformation learning experiences. With more than 450 global awards and rankings, we're the preferred learning partners to multiple Fortune 500 organizations. And we're hosting today's EI Expert Series webinar. Let's meet our panelists. I'll first introduce Kimberly Pavlich. She's the Director of Content for Security Awareness and Training at Proofpoint. With a wealth of experience in creating security policies and training programs within the international development and national defense sectors in Canada, Kimberly brings a deep understanding of how to communicate complex threat landscapes to diverse audiences. She's also a key voice in navigating AI's impact on the workforce. I'm also excited to welcome Soma Bhadri, a seasoned leader with over 20 years of experience in learning and performance consulting. As a key member of EI's learning consulting practice and advisory services, Soma specializes in driving global learning strategies, workforce enablement, and performance ecosystems. Recognized as a thought leader, Soma has a proven track record of maximizing ROI for clients, leading to enhanced performance and organizational success. And me, I'm Rohini Gupta, your interactive host for today's webinar on AI and the multi-generational workforce. As the head of content at EI, I lead a team focused on delivering XR and emerging tech-powered solutions. And over the past 2 decades, I've worked in various roles, from instructional design to communication specialist and experience designer. I am extremely kicked about exploring how AI can transform the way people work, how they learn, and how they communicate. And I'm very excited to be part of today's conversation, right? Our expert panel will share actionable insights and strategies to help us, help you elevate engagement, productivity, and inclusivity in your organization. Whether you're a seasoned leader or an emerging talent, this session is designed to equip you with the tools of success that will help drive engaging learning solutions for a diverse workforce, right? And we've been talking about a diverse workforce. The modern workforce today is very diverse, right? More diverse than ever, I think, spanning multiple generations, each with distinct characteristics, work styles, and outlooks. Understanding this multi-generational mix, I think, is crucial for fostering effective learning engagement. From baby boomers to Gen Z, each group brings unique strengths and preferences and communication styles, which shape their approach to work and collaboration. By recognizing and embracing these differences, I think organizations can create inclusive and engaging environments that leverage diverse perspectives and skills of all generations, driving innovation and success. So having set that stage, let me begin our conversation. Kimberly, let's start the conversation with you. What do you see as general challenges of engaging a diverse multi-generational workforce in global organizations such as yours?
So at Proofpoint, my team develops security and awareness training that is used, for global organizations. So finding ways to keep audiences engaged, it's top of mind for me. So for us, the challenges for engaging a diverse multi-generational workforce, let's start with the multi-generational workforce challenges. So there is an assumption that different generations have varying preferences for processing information. There's a perception that boomers love structured content, interactive formats for millennials and Gen Z. However, it might surprise many of you that research, actually shows that designing instruction to match individual learning styles or generational differences does not actually significantly increase learning effectiveness. So therefore, the assumption that generational differences should be considered in training is itself the challenge. So why is this the case? Well, educators and trainers often believe that tailored approaches lead to better outcomes. This belief may persist because matching instruction to a learner's preference can make learning more efficient and appealing, even if it doesn't actually improve effectiveness. So with that in mind, when one of my customers asks, what's the best approach I should take for training? I always encourage offering small micro-learning training, under 3 minutes, focus on a single topic, simulations to help, learners practice what they're learning, but also offering diverse training methods, to give the learner the feeling that they have a choice in the matter, even if it is mandatory training. Speaking of making content more appealing, I also urge you to consider localization to ensure your content resonates with your different global audiences. So for example, content that might work well in one country might need adjustments to be relevant in another. This can involve training materials translated into local languages and tailoring examples to fit, the relevant scenarios. For example, let's say you're based in Australia and you want to assign fishing simulations with Australian brands rather than, say, brands based in Canada. Making small adjustments like this can really increase the chances that, your learners are going to, relate to the training. Following from localization, for global audiences, you also want to consider how you're actioning the training. Challenges arise from having different time zones, thus offering live sessions at convenient times is something you probably want to consider, or else having pre-recorded videos that people can watch at a later time. Also consider designating regional champions or coordinators to help ensure the local needs are met and smooths out any issues. Without attention to these, you can really lose engagement to your global regions that are having the training.
Point taken, Kimberly. So let's say not multi-generational workforce, let's say individual learners, right? Across generations, across preferences, all of that. So I take your point. Soma, what are your thoughts, on this? Can you build on that and also share, specific challenges encountered in skills-based organizations?
Yes, sure. Thanks, Rohini. So in skill-based organizations, keeping employees engaged can really be a juggling act, especially when their specialized skills need to align with the ever-shifting company goals, objectives, the evolving business dynamics, and so on. The trick is navigating these challenges like skill obsolescence, but yet you ensure ongoing learning and development for the workforce. So to touch upon a few, I would say, specific challenges that skill-based organizations often would come across. The first one would be, different generations would have, like we said, varying preferences of learning. Again, I will not stereotype, but some may favor digital platforms, where some may be comfortable with the more traditional methods of training and learning. When we talk about leveraging technology, AI-enabled platforms like, say, a Degreed or an Edcast, these allow you to create solutions that can be personalized. So the personalized paths would cater better to these varying learning preferences, and employees will still remain engaged and can be upskilled quite effectively. On similar lines, you would have a generational gap that can lead to different levels of comfort when it comes to the usage of technology itself, right? And that can cause discrepancies in engagement as well as skill acquisition, which is, again, one of the crucial points when it comes to especially the skill-based organizations. Now, here again, you could use tools like, say, Adapt, which is a responsive learning platform, and they can adjust the complexity and delivery of learning based on real-time performance, right? So that would cater to the learning pace of each employee. Like we're saying, individual learners, their preferences and their need. So from tech-savvy generations to people that are more experienced, each of these pace, need, etc., can be catered to. Finally, another challenge is maintaining engagement and motivation, right? Motivational triggers for each of these groups or individual learners can be very different. And here, like we've always known, interactive learning, gamified learning is something that can appeal to a wide a variety of audiences, right? So using AI-driven gamification platforms such as, say, Exonify or a Kahoot can also create very interactive, engaging, and a learning environment. And this would appeal to both employees that have a very competitive nature, I would say, as well as somebody that prefers a more experiential type style and wants to explore learning as they move through the journey and so on. So yeah, I feel this is how we can navigate when it's specifically if we talk about skill-based organizations.
Thanks, Kimberly, and thanks, Soma, for those insights. We've of course identified challenges. We've talked about them, and just a little bit, I think we've touched upon on solutions as well. But let's delve a little bit deeper into the solutioning, and especially, let's explore how AI and modern technology can provide, best and specific learning solutions. Whether it's, using AI to, personalize learning paths, or catering to unique needs of each, generation or individual learners. Let me correct myself. To immersive technologies helping us create, engaging, adaptive environments that resonate across learners. There's plenty of, there's opportunity, and there's a lot that's possible for us to explore. So, let's start off with you. How do you think organizations can leverage modern immersive technology and AI to align with their overall organizational goals and culture?
Yeah. So, leveraging modern technology, like there are several immersive technologies and tools, and even AI. All of these can really help organizations stay on track with their goals and culture, because this is because these technologies make training more engaging and tailored. But at the same time, it also ensures that employees' skill can grow alongside the company's evolving needs. So that it's a nice marriage, I would say, of the evolving needs with the skill development. I look at this as I would say I'd like to pick up 3 examples here. So one is the enhanced training and development while aligning with the goal. So integrating immersive technologies like, say, virtual reality or augmented reality, along with some AI-driven analytics, can create very highly effective training programs that can simulate real world. Now, how this can align with a company's culture? So let's take, the oil and gas industry, or possibly a manufacturing industry, pharma industries, chemical industries, and so on, where employees tend to work in high-risk environments, and more often than not, the company's norms, values, and culture revolves a lot around prioritizing safety, right? Safety norms and health and safety trainings and so on. So what better than internalizing or instilling this safety first mindset than using, say, the virtual reality simulations. And we've seen that for our customers as well, we've actually driven VR simulations with gadgets or headsets in that environment. And we also have solutions that can be developed and delivered over the web. So again, a nice way to use technology for training development. The other thing that it can help when it comes to goals and culture is improving collaboration and communication, and especially with a geographically, spread workforce in most organizations, and a very diverse population of workforce that one needs to sort of cater to when it comes to training and development. Using platforms such as, say, Spatial or Gather. Now, these can enhance your remote collaboration, making virtual meetings more engaging, effective. These tools are actually able to mimic in-person interactions, and that makes teamwork and innovation, I would say, a lot better. It takes it to a completely different level. These platforms, hence, can now be customized or designed to promote the company's collaborative culture, right? So it can reinforce the communication norms, an environment of inclusivity, regardless of the geographical location, right? And an example that I can think of is you could actually use AI to analyze interaction patterns and suggest ways in which improvements can be brought about. And this could be at an org level. I mean, not just individual teams or groups and so on. Right. And one of the and finally, last but really not the least, is the data-driven decision making and innovation as a part of it. Now, AI and immersive technologies can be used to create very sophisticated data visualization tools, right? And these can help leaders make more informed decisions. So one example could be, there are executives that need to explore a lot of complex data and make very serious decisions. I mean, I'm talking about senior leadership or maybe risk management teams and so on. Now, a combination of AI and augmented reality, AR, can actually allow executives to view these or explore these complex data sets in a 3D space or in a real-time, sort of augmented environment, right? So that can lead to insights, and these can drive better innovation. This approach can also be embedded in the organizational culture by emphasizing the importance of data-driven decisions and continuous improvement. Right? AI can ensure that the data aligns with the organization's ethical standards and values. So in a sense, we are fostering a culture of responsible innovation, if I may say. So so data-driven approaches are really, really becoming a significant aspect, I'd say, in organizations.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say that AI is playing a very, very big role in making those data-driven decision-making kind of simulations or digital twins or whatever more effective and more realistic and more dynamic. That's one part of it. But speaking of data, and AI, right? There is, of course, data-driven insights even on the other side, right? Where on the learning and development side, they are crucial to learning and development teams where they can help personalized learning experiences for individual learners. You take, analyze all of the data that your LMS or, your feedback or, any other platform that gives you, you can analyze it. You can tailor content or learning solutions to individual needs. You can identify skill gaps. You can drive targeted learning solutions, make every learning solution relevant, engaging, and aligned with, organizational goals like we've been talking about. But I think there's also that flip side, something that is making everyone a little bit wary of AI and all of the data that you're feeding it, right? Because at this point, I don't think we have any insight into what is happening with that data. Who is using it? How is OpenAI or any other platform, how are they leveraging that data? What is being used to train their learning module, etc. So in light of all that, Kimberly, let me ask you, what do you think should be ethical considerations when using AI and immersive technology?
So I'm a huge fan of leveraging different AI tools. It's made my life a lot easier, and I've seen a lot of fun things that can be developed from it. And I'm especially a fan of using generative AI, for training development. It has great potential for training curation, creating content like text, videos, images. But, as you mentioned, there is a little bit of the ethical concerns that we need to consider. And the first one that I want to bring everyone's attention to is the topic of inclusivity and biases. So, as you mentioned, AI systems, they're trained on large data sets. These data sets also contain inherent biases. They might reflect stereotypes, underrepresenting certain groups. They might even have infactual information. So if these biases aren't addressed in your data set, your AI tools can actually perpetuate and even amplify these biases, leading to content that excludes, misrepresents diverse communities, and provides inaccurate information. To address biases and ensure inclusivity, it's essential to actually carefully curate and audit the training data that you're using. You want to make sure that it reflects a wide range of perspectives, cultures, experiences, and also actual correct information. Additionally, ongoing monitoring, refinement of, the algorithms, it's also crucial to, help you mitigate and identify any potential bias outputs as you go on. Another thing to consider, though, is also challenges as it relates to data security and privacy. So key concerns around potential misuse of AI-generated content, deep fakes, the risk of exposing sensitive information in training modules, right? So you need to ensure the data privacy, to help ensure data privacy, you have to make sure you have robust safeguards and transparent practices in place. And, that you're watching how data is collected, stored, and used. Additionally, there's need for clear guidelines to prevent the misuse of AI technologies, protecting, individuals' privacy and maintaining trust in AI systems. On that note, it's also worth noting that depending where you are, depending on the regulation, on the regulatory industry that you're in, there might be additional requirements that you need, such as providing informed consent, offering opt-out options. But lastly, I want you to also consider AI learning with human oversight. AI can, as we've talked so far about AI being personalized, we can create these great interactive contents, it can help us analyze data, create content, do all of the things.
Right.
But remember, this is a tool to enhance, not replace educators. Human educators are crucial for fostering critical thinking and engagement. AI must align with educational goals, supporting rather than automating the learning process. Human oversight is also essential for us to consider the human at the other end of the training. Consider this: just because AI can do something, should it? For instance, while AI can generate really great phishing simulations and deep fakes for training, we must carefully consider the impact on our learners. We need to balance human empathy, critical thinking with AI capabilities.
I agree, Kimberly. AI can, or rather, I wouldn't say shouldn't. I said AI can never, replace that actual human connection. And of course, there is always the need of human oversight to ensure that there is no bias that bleeds in. There is, everything you spoke about, right? Security, privacy, bias, inclusion. I think human oversight is required to ensure all of that. However, I do think that there are some interesting use cases for AI where we can, leverage AI to find, to help the learning process, to create something that is, hyper realistic in that sense, and give people the sense, that they are having a real engagement. Of course, with human oversight. All of these learning solutions, meant to help us as, trainers, as people in L&D. And I'd just like to discuss some of those use cases, that we've developed and we are continuing to refine, as we speak. So the first one I'd like to talk about is, what we call Pro Interview. And what it does is it helps learners or, employees with career progression within the organization, of course. Right? Retention has been, a big problem across industries, right? We want to, over COVID and just after as well, we have seen a lot of people leaving organizations. So how do we ensure that we engage our employees meaningfully? How do we give them opportunities to grow within the organization? And of course, retain them. So this is a solution we've developed. We've developed it, for a particular client, but of course, it's flexible enough to work across organizations, across industries, right? It enables employees to practice their interview skills, and it helps them, it aids them with career progression within the organization. So how it works is, of course, that, employees go in, they access, this training module, they will upload their, either if they have a ready resume, they'll upload it, or they'll answer a few questions so that, the tool can understand what their profile is. And, based on that information that it gets, the tool will then access, the job portal for that organization and match the learner with just the perfect, job within the organization that, that matches their profile. And then they can begin practicing the interview for that job role. right? They can also select a particular job that they want to interview for, and then the conversation begins. And in terms of, how we've trained the system, we've of course, trained it with guidelines for hiring managers. How should they, what are the questions they should ask? What is the flow of questions? What are the critical questions to ask? What are follow-up questions, etc. So the whole interview guide is there for the AI to learn from. Also, the organization's hiring philosophy, right? It's not all about skill and capability and all of that. There's also, a communication. We wanted to think about how is this person communicating. They making eye contact? Not. So all of those things, we've used to train the AI. And from a learner perspective, all they need to do is upload their resume or answer some questions, and then there is a very nice interactive conversation that happens. And at the end of the interview, of course, we provide some insights based on the immediate conversation and with the promise of a more detailed report. So that's how this solution works. We've worked, like I said, with one of our clients to create this, and we've seen some good feedback from them. It's still, of course, being trained. It's WIP, and we're refining it on a daily basis. So that's one use case that I see is relevant, and it takes care of retention and employee engagement. Another solution that we've been working on is that of a coaching assistant or providing coaching assistance. And I'd like to just go back to something Kimberly said earlier: is you can never replace human beings, right? So I understand, and we totally acknowledge that the coaching process is a very human process, right? You need there to be two people who understand each other and who can help each other. In this case, the coach and the coachee, right? So we totally acknowledge that. The idea of the coaching assistant or the coaching assistance AI tool is, enable more, more engaging kind of conversation, a more efficient, coaching process, right? So it's a AI-powered coaching solution which supports the entire coaching process, right? What it does is, from the beginning, it can analyze all of the data related to the coachee, right? So from their profile, from any performance data that's available, we can take in personal inputs from people on the team, etc. What is their skill set? What is their experience, right? So take all of that data, run it through the tool so that it can perform a detailed analysis and give the coach some meaningful information that can then be used to recommend a learning path, or that can be used to address any issues that the coachee is facing. Essentially, it works as a great analyzing assistant, to some degree a recommendation assistant. So that's what it does. And also, if the learner or if the coachee is already on a learning path, right, the AI can in real time analyze and see how the coachee is performing on this learning path. Where are they struggling? Where do they need help? Or where are they doing extremely well? And again, play that role of an analyzer, analyze all of that data and share it back with the coach to see, hey, we can maybe skip some of this, recommended learning because the learner is doing really well or your coachee is doing well. Maybe, have more learning interventions for where they are struggling, or, the AI has recommended some kind of, or has seen a pattern of behavior, seen a pattern of performance, right? Of course, all of this data needs to be very, very carefully analyzed by the coach themselves, because we shouldn't take AI's word completely. There should also be some cross-checking and vetting. So I would definitely recommend that. But like I said, this is a solution that we've developed. We're further continuing to refine it. We've talked about the coach and how all of this can help the coach, but what about the learner independently, right? Again, something we worked on for a client. We haven't been able to put that screenshot up because it's, of course, client proprietary data. So you'll see that, standard image at the back. But of course, the important part is that chatbot up front. We've developed this chatbot that can sit on top of an LMS. The objective is, of course, to create more meaningful learner engagement with the learner, to personalize their learning. How is, of course, that this chatbot, aids learners in identifying what is the most relevant learning path for them, what are learning assets that will that will more accurately fit their requirement, and therefore, prescribe this path. How the chatbot does this is, of course, it has access to the LMS. It has access to all of the metadata related to the training material on the LMS. Also, if there are any social, like discussion boards and such, there is, of course, access to that as well. And any additional inputs from a trainer or facilitator, it can handle all of that and analyze that data and answer questions for a learner. So a learner could go in, type in and say, hey, I am, this is my role. This is my skill. Excuse me. And this is my, aspiration. This is where I want to be. Help me bridge the gap, right? And, the AI tool will then kind of create this report or prescribed learning path that will help the learner, meet their, to realize their goal. And then, of course, they can go into the LMS and take, all of the training that's been prescribed to them. So those are the, some of the learning, AI-powered learning solutions we're working on. Soma, anything you'd like to add that I may have missed, maybe?
Yeah, no, I think you've touched upon the most crucial aspects. So coaching and mentoring, skill development. These are the key aspects, and leveraging AI or the immersive technologies. I can see how they can actually take learning to that whole to new dimension, and especially where you have such a varied sort of skill set, preferences, technology, tech savvy sort of aspect, and so on. And this LMS feature is, I would say, of course, we can't reveal our clients' LMS details here, but this is one of the most, I would say, wonderful ways in which AI can sort of really curate your learning, I would say, learning path from what is available and meet your aspirations and goals as part of the bigger organization sort of objectives.
Totally. I think I missed, obviously we were talking specifically about, learning interventions and such, but I also see, a lot of use being made to create, efficiencies, particularly like, in, I know our media team uses this a lot to, create different, styles of artwork or, animation and video development and such. So it's also helping us, create those media assets. Personally, I think ChatGPT is also a great tool for brainstorming, right? When you're scripting for something, when you're, trying to work on a storyboard, etc. Great tool to, help you brainstorm a little bit without actually sharing any data with it that's proprietary or anything of the sort. So I do think that is also a great use case, not mentioned here, but certainly worth talking about. So, Kimberly, we've talked a lot about use cases that, we've been focused on at EI and how we're using it. What about you? What do you think are the trends related to AI or even immersive tech that you see in your organization and perhaps even in the learning space overall?
So, well, you touched on a couple really good points of it. First one, with developing our content. Content, I really use generative AI to help with content curation and inspiration. We use this, as you mentioned, different generative chatbots to help, shape the direction that we're wanting to go, help us plan out, organize our thoughts. We do, as I mentioned earlier, we do security awareness training. So we have a lot of content on phishing and ransomware, all of this. So sometimes it's just, we have the ideas of where we want to go, but it helps us really plan it out. Also too, we use not generative AI, but other tools to help us create learning paths and to create guides to aid admins who are using our tools to have a learning path for their learners based off of the content. Another one you touched on is with image creation. Our team loves it for image generation, storyboarding. We can create such high quality images from text descriptions. And we produce a lot of game content, premium animation, live action. And so using storyboards, using generative AI in the storyboard sort of context, it really helps take out a lot of heavy lifting from our animators and designers to quickly get these thoughts down. And we've licensed a number of different tools that have also helped us produce, different styles of content, that might be more applicable to other regions. If you think back to when I was talking about localization of content, global audiences, and so recognizing that I'm based in Canada, some of my designers are based in the UK, the US, this really helps us to spread the designs that we offer. And also, I'd be remiss to not talk about translation and voiceover. This is we translate our content into 43 languages. We have a lot of content that we have a lot of translations, and we've been playing around with AI tools to help us. Granted, we don't do it for everything because AI isn't there yet. As much as I wish it was there, there's still development, but this time last year, night and day for the advancements. And so where we can use it, we do leverage this, and it really helps us, create content that speaks to more of the different regions. And also we use it for AI phishing. So as being a security company, phishing simulations are really popular, and we use generative AI to help us craft, sophisticated phishing. As I mentioned before, we have to do it with a little bit of ethical consideration, thinking, is this the right kind of fish that we want to put out? But this has really helped us to create, legitimate looking fish, which is very important in today's sector, when you're seeing a lot of bad actors using generative AI tools to create very convincing fish and lures. And this is also something that we use, again, to help us localize into different regions. I'm from Canada. I'm not familiar with brands that might be in India or in Japan. So I use this tool to help. We use these kind of tools to help us create fish with images that look like brands from that region. So, there's a lot of really great ways that helps us lift off the load and be more applicable for a global audience.
Thanks, Kimberly. Lots of interesting, insights. Just a quick question from, a localization perspective, especially with scenarios and such. How, what's your experience been with the accuracy of the output?
So are you talking about translation or
translation,
images?
and I would say translation, and also even scenarios, like localization in terms of, scenarios and such. How accurate do you see the output to be?
So to be honest, there's a lot left to be desired. We are getting there. From the translation perspective, we're getting there. For some languages, it's spot on. So because we are a global organization, I pull from a team, and I ask people who are local speakers to read the text and I say, does this make sense? I ask them to hear the voiceover language that has been AI generated, and I say, does this sound okay? Sometimes they'll come back and say, Kimberly, that accent is really off. I don't know where you got that from. And I go, okay. So then I provide feedback to the source that we use, and then they work on it a little bit more. So, but it has been getting a lot better, and we do use it for voiceover for a number of our training content where it works. For the scenarios, I find that it's working really great with with brand representation, for when we're creating our phishing simulations. I find, again, we do have to do a little bit of research. So this goes back to the human element. You can't blindly trust these AI tools. As I was mentioning with the voiceover, you have to get people to check. Same thing with the simulations and the situations. You need to do your own research or engage somebody from the area to make sure that what you're saying looks legitimate.
Got it. I agree. So that's right. Reiterating the point that human oversight is still critical. Still critical. Let's move. Let's talk about a little bit about we talked about ROI and ROE right at the beginning, and how we are focused on, creating learning solutions, that prove ROI. So, Soma, let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So, how should organizations measure the ROI of technology investments? For learning situations like this.
Right. So when it comes to tech investments in a multi-generational workforce, measuring ROI is almost like finding the right confluence where innovation meets practicality. Organizations really need to look at how these investments, which are pretty heavy and pretty, I would say, intensive, boost engagement across all age groups, enhance skill development in a way that truly pays off. So my recommendation to most of our clients, organizations that we speak to, we take a triad of, I would say a triad of parameters. I'd say the first one being revenue. And when we say revenue, it is all about seeing how there is a boost in revenue due to an increase in efficiencies across different skill sets and KPIs and goals that employees have to sort of meet. So how we could do that is by tracking revenue growth that is attributed to these efficiency improvements as a result of the skill development. Along with that, the organizations should assess cost savings as a result of these productivity boosts that can again directly contribute to increased profitability. The second parameter would be customer satisfaction and brand loyalty, right? So it's always important to see and analyze how technology can enhance employee training, leading to a more consistent and personalized interaction or experience across all generations. In addition to that, we should always also, as organizations, evaluate customer loyalty by tracking repeat business, right? See how we're able to retain customers longer term, the brand loyalty aspect, right? And linking them to the improved service quality as a result of these targeted workforce development initiatives. And finally, the most important factor in any organization, the employees, right? The employee satisfaction and, of course, retention of top talent. That should be one of the measures as far as ROI is concerned. How do you do that? So monitor feedback across the different employee programs that have been done on how technology has been enhancing their learning experience. How have they been catering to different generational preferences? How are employees feeling about a supportive work environment and so on? In addition to this, HR can also help in tracking retention rates of top talent in the organization and correlating these reduced turnovers with the effectiveness of technology-driven development programs, right? Because the ultimate aim is all of this should engage and empower employees across all age groups. So that a combination of revenue, customer satisfaction, brand loyalty, as well as the employee satisfaction and retention should give you a holistic perspective when it comes to measuring the ROI of these investments.
Thank you, Soma. Thank you so much for those insights, and thank you, Kimberly. I think it's been a wonderful conversation. I've certainly enjoyed it. I'm hoping the audience has as well. So it's time to just hop over to the Q&A and see, if we can answer some questions that have been coming up. So let me just go. Let's see. We have. We've talked about this a little bit, but I think I'll bring it up again. It says, how can AI-driven immersive technologies such as VR and AR be leveraged to address the diverse learning needs across different generations? Kimberly, your thoughts?
So as I was mentioning, so when we're looking, so this could be leveraged in a way to help give people, the opportunity, the choice of different styles of learning. So AI driven, so using AI to help create more gamified content. It can even help you create, say, interactive content, interactive modules. You can use it to help create nudges in different tones, just in time learning, creating those like short little bits of text that's a bit difficult. The reason I'm referencing all these different styles of learning, of engagement, is because, as I was mentioning earlier, the focus, it shouldn't be so much on the different generations as it is of giving people the different styles of learning. So one might not resonate with one person, but you're giving them a couple different ways to take in the information.
Right. Anything you'd like to add, Soma?
No, I think Kimberly touched upon this beautifully. Yeah, the idea is to provide employees and learners with a range of options, right? Again, different learners have different learning styles, like we all know, and add to that the generational aspect, the blend of technology, all of that. If the way we are trying to provide adaptive learning paths, the way these platforms are getting developed, it's all about understanding individual learner needs, aspirations, and then curating and disseminating content with that. Technologies like AR, VR, or AI, they are, I would say, enablers when it comes to building these different training needs that the learners may have. And depending on the content, on the need, on the objective that you're trying to achieve at the end of the training, is how you decide upon the technology that would best disseminate this learning. And we gave some examples, like if it were safety, you could use VR, or if there was a machinery part you couldn't really access, you could use a VR or an AR based sort of learning. You could even, I think, something that was not explored in the past, facilitated sessions would usually have a training deck and a facilitator who's using that material to then talk to the audience or the participants. We are we are embedding these QR codes, right, that can be sort of scanned during a session, and learners can actually look at a very crucial information that the facilitator is talking about. So that takes your learning and engagement, and it could be any generation. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a younger or an older employee, but you get to see a whole lot of, I would say, it just makes learning more active, more, it resonates with the learner. They know what they're looking at. And it's a whole, I would say, world of information that they're now privy to, which was not available in the past.
Yeah, that allows them to, dive deep or stay at the surface, depending on how you want to engage with the content, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question. I think path we have answered, but we can just, take a quick stab at it again. So could you share some examples of how AI has been successfully used to tailor learning experiences for different generations, particularly in closing skill gaps for younger employees? Soma, do you want to?
Yeah, I think in parts, you've just answered that. Specifically, if we talk about younger employees, and again, I mean, at the risk of sounding biased, we often know that learners have, the younger employees, I mean, when it comes to them and the skill gaps, the level of experience and the level of knowledge that they already come with is fairly lesser than the ones that are already there and the older ones in the organization. So when we spoke about the collaborative communication and how platforms could help you drive that communication across the organization, you're also promoting, I would say, social collaborative learning in a way, right? Peer-to-peer learning. The older generation or the more experienced employees in the organization, no matter where they are geographically, can actually connect with another employee who is younger and is needs information. That these kind of customizations and like on-demand information is something that AI can really help you sort of manage. The LMS support that we were talking about is
Correct.
also one of
Yeah.
those sort of leans towards that direction. The coaching and mentoring support that is driven through AI and these chatbots, they can be again use cases for that. So yeah, I would say this is how AI-driven solutions are successfully bridging skill gaps when it comes
Right.
to younger employees and even older for that matter.
Yeah.
And you
Kimberly,
made
your
me
thoughts?
think of, yeah, so you made me think of something, especially when it comes to this, when it comes to the skills. So all the stuff really is industry specific. It really does depend on what you are training the people on. You know, when I'm coming from the cybersecurity space, we're educating people on phishing, on ransomware, not to click, what to do, what not to do, what to report. And so for us, it's not so much focused on the individual age, it's more focused on their skill level. What is their base knowledge of phishing? Are they intermediate, advanced? So we really operate that way. But as you were talking, you made me think, you know, Cybersecurity Awareness Month is coming up, and this is an example of trying to engage people. And AI is great for can be great for if you're doing a learning campaign, an awareness campaign, and you want to have something that's catchy. Look at generative AI as helping you create images that could catch the attention of, say, somebody who's Gen Z versus somebody who's a millennial, or say somebody a baby boomer. You know, there's a different styles of animation, different styles of graphics that would really catch the attention of those different generations. And so you can always look at leveraging those kind of tools to create a awareness campaign, a training campaign to really draw in that attention.
Thank you. Next question from Joyce. What are examples of potential biases that can be amplified by AI? Kimberly?
Yeah, so I see a lot of, so when we're looking at hackers, we're looking at fish, like people involved in phishing, you know, this is my world, I'm going to keep using these examples. A common bias I see is, you know, you see the person in a hoodie, hovered over a computer. Another thing that I've noticed too is that there's biases around particular regions, of claiming that particular regions are more likely for doing types of malicious attacks than other regions. So I'm very careful to make sure that that doesn't go in. There's also a lot of racial biases and also gendered biases, because when you're looking at the source of information that it's being trained on, you know, all of this data. So if you ask it, you know, do an exercise, ask it to describe a teacher. You know, the chances are, or a nurse, chances are the description that's going to come up is going to be one of a woman, you know, so there are these kind of biases that are embedded within the training that it's being trained on. So you just really want to be aware, really want to be aware of it. Yeah.
I mean, when, you know, like take scenario generation, for example, I see, you know, if you just, depending on the prompt that you put in, if it's a very simple, straightforward, you know, 1 or 2 sentence prompt that doesn't give too much context, you'd see that the scenario reflects a lot of stereotypes. And I've seen that, you know, while brainstorming, you know, while scripting or, you know, creating some kind of scenario. So I see that a lot. So unless you don't give it a lot of context, don't train it, you know, provide specific information, I think it's just going to throw stereotypes at you. And the more I think we train it, the better it will respond to us. Even with image generation, you know, you give it a simple prompt without specifics, and the image it'll generate will, I would say, you know, 3 times out of 5 maybe generate something that, you know, perpetuates a stereotype. So I do see that, you know, we need to keep training it. We need to keep giving it more context, more, you know, specific requirements. So I think you were trying to say something.
No, I quite agree with everything that you and Kimberly have said. So yes, I mean, the models do tend to have these biases, and it will continue to be so, I think, till such time we train it to like we feed in more and more data and you know, sort of train these models to become, I would say, lesser biased, if that's the right word to use.
Yeah.
We're at the top of the hour almost.
Yeah, I was just about to comment with that question. We will need to, I think, stop because we just about have a minute. But we're loving the engagement, we're loving the conversation. So please, keep it going. Feel free to reach out to us, with questions, with requirements, any of that good stuff. Just a quick reminder that we will be sharing the recording of this webinar with all of you. Apart from that, we'll also be sharing some additional resources. So our ebook, which is titled Imagine, Experience, Connect, Driving Value Through Immersive Learning, and also our research brief on the importance of emotional intelligence in the age of AI. A very good and critical read, I would say. With that, thank you so much, all of you who attended and engaged with us. I hope you have a lovely day or a lovely evening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one. And like I said, if you'd like to continue the conversation, please get in touch, and we'll be happy to engage with you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kimberly. Thanks, Oma.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.